Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. Making a nightmare but beautiful housemate move out. Not my story, but one a friend told me when he was a student in the 90s. A group of second-year students, all lads, found a great furnished place to live, but needed one more person to make the cost of living a bit easier. They left their details with the housing department of the university, and a last-minute admission first-year student contacted them and asked them to see the property. They arrive and it's a girl and her mother, both natural 10s, absolute stunners. They love the place, and after double-checking with them that she wouldn't mind living with a bunch of fellas, agreed to let her move in. To try and make her comfortable the weekend she moves in, and the boys make a full-on British Sunday dinner. Think Thanksgiving dinner for those in the US. They all sat down to eat when she asked about something she's unfamiliar with on her plate. They say those are Yorkshire puddings, staple of a Sunday dinner. She replies, "Oh, I've heard of them. Mama says they are for poor people." And it goes downhill from there. She doesn't clean up after herself, taking other people's food, can't use a washing machine properly, hog in the bathroom, and you get the idea. Obviously been pampered her whole life, and has no life skills as such. They tried talking with her but got nowhere. After a couple of weeks, they decided she had to go. Stunner or not, they tried fighting fire with fire and copying her behavior, but they were starting to get fed up with living that dirty. One day, one of the lads notices her room is immaculate, and she always locks her door when she leaves, but leaves her upstairs bedroom window open. The layout of the house means that it is possible for someone to climb out of one bedroom window and into hers. Day 1. When she leaves, they climb in and move a few bits around. She comes home and goes to her room. Within seconds, she storms downstairs screaming, "Who's been in my room?" And everyone denies all knowledge. Don't you lock your door?" She has no answer for that and leaves. When she leaves, they climb in and move a bit more around than the day before. She comes back and is livid. "I know you've been in my room. Someone is messing with my things. I'm going to get the locks changed." And she actually paid someone to change her locks. They wait a couple days to let her guard down and notice she still leaves her window open though. Next time she leaves, they go to town. Totally rearranged her room, bed, wardrobe, desk, drawers, clothes in different places, posters, and even changed her bedding. Between them, it only took 30 minutes. When she came home and went upstairs, the guys just waited and waited and waited. She came downstairs with a suitcase, and without saying a word, she left. Next day, she and a couple of her friends turned up to move out whatever was left behind. She dropped off her keys on the kitchen counter, and other than some stinky eye, didn't say anything. They took the hit on the finances and turned that bedroom into a gaming room. Next story. Lady assaults my little sister. So I've always read the post on here and always thought how ridiculous and psychotic people could be. Well, unfortunately for my sister and I dealt with one such psycho lady. This all takes place last Friday afternoon. For a little background, I have a younger sister who is adopted and is also Colombian. So compared to me, a pale curly redhead, whose Irish descent cannot be mistaken for anything else, one can easily assume we have no relation at all to each other. Now, my sister is also special needs. She's high-functioning autistic and is only really comfortable with our parents, me and my significant other of 6 years. She's physically 16, looks 11 or 12, is mentally 8 in reality. And now to the nightmare. I mean the story. On Friday, I picked up my sister from her school. I help out my parents a lot, plus my sister is my world. She is fortunate enough that she is able to attend a specialized school that caters specifically to kids with special needs. After I picked her up from school, I had to run to the store known for khakis and red polos. My sister is wearing leggings with horses on them, her favorite animal, and a red tee with more horses. See where this is unfortunately going? We were in the grocery section and I was grabbing a few things for dinner that night. We were in the pasta aisle, which also means mac and cheese. This so happens to be my sister's favorite food. Plus she loves organizing the boxes and making the rows straight. I'm a couple feet away down the aisle but still right there and keeping an eye on her, making sure she's okay. Enter the psycho lady. She rapidly approaches my sister, and my first thought was that psycho lady must be in a hurry for something in the aisle. Nope, I was very wrong. She says to my sister, "Where is the bread?" My sister stares only because she doesn't talk to many people and is not okay with being randomly approached. Karen shouts, "What are you, deaf? I said where the bread is." At this point, a psycho lady is getting into my sister's personal space, a major trigger for her and people raising voices, and I'm already rushing to intervene. "Ma'am, my sister is not an employee here. You are frightening her. Please leave her alone." During this, I have physically placed myself between them. The psycho lady, however, does not accept this. "You're just covering for this lazy employee trying to avoid work." She used a very racist word for black people. Me attempting to keep my voice as even and calm as possible for my sister's sake. "You need to leave my sister alone. Now, you have entered her personal space and continually raised your voice. She clearly is not dressed like an employee and is acting less like one. Furthermore, you need to respect her and no one, worker or not, should be talked to like you just did to a little girl." "Well, I never. She's being a lazy R-word and needs to do her job." And then some more racial slurs plus ranting here. I don't remember all what she said because I was still keeping an eye on my sister. I was more concerned with her. During all this, my sister has now hidden behind our shopping cart and is rocking back and forth, all while covering her ears. The psycho lady, realizing her ranting is not getting my sister to tell her where her bread is, decides the next option is to reach and grab my sister by the hair. Why she thought this would make a real employee help is just beyond me. My sister starts screaming and I immediately slap the psycho lady's hand away and remove her from my sister. "How dare you? Do you know who I am? You are a worse employee than that idiot. I'm calling the police. You assaulted me." "Go right the hell ahead, witch. I'd like to see you try." She storms off to find the manager at this point. I immediately turn and try to calm my sister down and lay down with her. This helps her, and I start to hum a little bit. She's still upset, but she's starting to calm a little bit. The psycho Karen returns, sadly with the manager in tow. She's going on and on about being assaulted and how my sister and I need to be fired. The manager says, "Hello, what occurred here? This woman is claiming you assaulted her. Actually, she physically grabbed my sister and yanked her hair because she believed my sister was an employee, despite me saying many times she is not. I had to forcibly remove that woman's hand from my sister's head. So if you call defending my autistic sister assault, then go ahead." The manager was confused as he heard a very different story. The psycho lady says, "It's too late now, witch. I didn't do anything wrong. You're just mad you failed to pretend you and your sister do not work here and are now losing your jobs." The manager tells her, "Lady, neither of these people work here. You assaulted this girl and if anyone is pressing charges, it'll be this girl. If you'd like, I can pull up security footage. And now you can either leave right now or be escorted by security. That is your choice to make." The psycho lady, now getting the picture that she's in major trouble, she tried to excuse herself out, but was ultimately forcibly removed by security, but not before getting her information. The manager offered to give us everything we needed as a compromise, but I was more worried about my sister and getting her out. So the manager gave us gift cards for future trips and I got my sister back home as quickly as possible. Once home and after helping my sister calm down, I called the police and reported that psycho lady. The manager told me he would provide the footage if needed. I told the police everything that happened, that woman's name and the information, and that the manager has footage of the event. For anyone wondering, my sister is doing well, but doesn't want to go anywhere near the bullseye story. And she's refusing to interact with anyone but me right now. She is having night terrors, but I'm staying with my parents and I'm currently sleeping in my sister's room with her to help her out and care for her. I want nothing more than to hurt that psycho lady and won't rest until she pays for what she did. Next story. Confronted my Karen neighbor about continued harassment. My neighbor, Lori from across the street, has been harassing me about my dog since I moved in 2 months ago. She has left a note on my door. She has left a bag of dog food with instructions on how to feed my dog. She has let my dog loose twice, and she has trespassed onto my property to feed my dog on numerous occasions. I finally had it after animal control came to my house today to check on the malnourished state of my dog, and I collected paperwork necessary to file for a PPO. It's rather insulting. My dog is not malnourished by any means, but she is skinny. She's a husky and she only weighs 36 pounds, but she's only 1 and the vet says she's healthy. I took the evidence, printed pictures, /screenshots across the street, and I told Lori that the vet says my dog is healthy, and I would appreciate it if the harassment would stop. And the woman acted as though she didn't even know what I was talking about. What harassment? I am not harassing you. So I pulled out my papers. I said, I have a picture here of the bag of dog food you left on my porch, and I have evidence that you've been trespassing onto my property. She stuttered a bit, then said, Oh, the dog food? That was just extra I had. I continued with, You are 65 years old, and you have no business trespassing onto my property to feed my dog. She said, yeah, I do. Animal control was just at your house and they said your dog was malnourished. Your dog is always yipping and yapping, and you don't ever do anything with it. I informed her that I do run with my dog rather frequently, that the vet says my dog is healthy. Then I called her a bee and told her to get a hobby. It feels empowering, but now I have a sign in my front yard that reads, No trespassing, Lori. My next door neighbors love my sign and just informed me that they have had similar issues regarding this specific neighbor. I feel proud of what I have done today. Next story. Customer wants to call us every hour until her issue is fixed. Sure. So I work at a pretty big tech company as a help desk agent, and as any help desk employee, I've had my fair share of crazy customers, like this one who we shall call Karen. We would mainly answer the phone and emails and then log in tickets to our system for handling all the issues customers would require us to solve. Each logged ticket will cause the customer to be billed the standard help desk fee, and then it would add up depending on how long it takes. On to the story. So one morning Karen calls in and asks about a ticket she had logged like 2 hours ago. I go and check the status and see it was a pretty standard account request for one of her employees, and it was already being handled by the team that creates these particular accounts. This account was for an outside system for which we only provide the accounts and they have their own support for problems. Due to synchronization after we create the account, it takes roughly 24 hours for it to be functional, and this is quite well known for the managers who usually request them to be created. I inform Karen that the account is being created right now and she should be getting a confirmation about it soon. I also remind her that it can take about 24 hours for it to be functional. As soon as I said these things, the tone on her changed immediately, and she informed me quite annoyingly that this was very urgent and it should be functional faster. We talked for a little while longer and I explained to her why exactly it takes this long, and finally she seems to understand and we end the call. About an hour later, one of my colleagues sends me a message asking if I've talked to this lady before, and tells me she's calling again, angry and demanding that the account should be made faster. Once again they explain the same things I did, then they end the call. About another hour later I answer a call, and it's Karen again, even angrier and practically yelling that the account needs to be created now. I check the ticket again and see it has been completed, so the account should be working tomorrow. I tell this to Karen and she is not happy. She starts to yell all sorts of things and says this is not how we should do things, and again I inform her that the system she needs the account for is not ours, and this is something we cannot do anything about. But she just won't have it. She then calmly informs me that if this is how we do things, then she will be calling us every hour to waste our time until the account is done. I can almost hear the smirk on her face as she says this. Now, even though she was being extremely rude, I didn't want to be a jerk, and I tried to inform her that every time she calls, we are required to log in a ticket and her company will be charged the standard help desk fee. But as I try to tell this, she just cuts me off and refuses to listen, so at this point I say alright, call us if you want. So then she proceeds to call us every hour for the rest of her workday. The next morning, I get a few of her calls and just always repeat the same thing. The account will be working within 24 hours. And each time she calls me or one of my colleagues, we log in a ticket and move on. Eventually the call stopped, presumably because the account was finally functional. And we did not hear from her again. I haven't heard if she got into any trouble for it, but she must have generated quite a bill for her company over nothing. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.